You just secured a major raise at work, or perhaps a new position that finally pays your true market value. Almost immediately, you feel an internal drive to upgrade your lifestyle. A better apartment, a newer car, or clothes that signal this new chapter of your life. This natural urge to make your success visible is a psychological trap that captures most earners before they can start saving. Real wealth building requires a different approach, choosing to live in a way that suggests you have less than you actually do. Broadcasting your success is a drain on your net worth. It leads to a lifestyle that looks impressive from the outside while offering zero financial security behind the scenes. People with high net worth often drive older cars and wear unremarkable clothes. They stay in the same modest homes for years, even as their income climbs. This choice reflects a specific understanding of how money functions. They prioritize the growth of their assets over the display of their status. This level of restraint is a calculated financial maneuver that prioritizes the long-term utility of capital over immediate social signals. You can identify your own financial leaks by reviewing your bank statements from the last 90 days. Look at every non-essential purchase and ask if you bought it for your own life or because you wanted someone else to notice. My name is Alex. I spent my 20s trying to look like the person I thought I was supposed to be. I had the popular apartment and a financed car. On paper, I looked successful, but image debt kept savings at zero. At 30, I stopped performing wealth and started quietly building it. My savings grew more in 2 years than the previous 10. Removing the cost of maintaining a public image allows your capital to stay in your accounts where it can actually begin to compound. Money spent on image is capital that has been taken out of play. It cannot grow, it does not earn interest, and it typically loses value the moment you buy it. This leads to an invisible race. You and the people you are trying to impress are often mutually financing lifestyles that neither of you can truly afford. This projected success is fragile. If your income drops, the lack of underlying savings means the entire lifestyle can fall apart almost instantly. The cycle is simple. Spending to keep up reduces your ability to save. Low savings then create a sense of financial anxiety, making you feel like you are falling behind your peers. To manage that anxiety, many people spend even more to project a false sense of security, which only drains their remaining capital faster. Those who build real wealth simply refuse to join this cycle. They allow their money to stay invested, gaining power over time instead of buying temporary validation. Data on high net worth households confirms that most millionaires do not live like the ones you see on television. They tend to live in modest neighborhoods and keep their vehicles for an average of 10 years. They consistently spend less than they earn over a very long period. Their wealth is invisible. It isn't being driven or worn. It is being grown in the background through a network of assets that work for them. Identifying where you are spending for an audience is the first step toward keeping that money for yourself. Genuine financial enjoyment comes from spending for your own satisfaction, rather than for the people watching you. We can define the gap as the difference between what you spend for your own needs and what you spend to satisfy an audience. Over several decades, the capital recovered within this gap provides the surplus required to achieve permanent financial independence. We will now look at how these costs compounding over time, the specific habits that keep high earners stuck, and the practical steps to grow your net worth without broadcasting it. Status spending systematically dismantles the wealth that money could have generated over time. It is not just the money you lose today. These appearance-driven upgrades often hide in plain sight. We see them in unused premium gym memberships or clothes chosen specifically for the logo facing outward. It appears in nights out selected for their social optics, and the habit of upgrading to a new phone before the old one is even finished. When you add up these scattered upgrades, the total often reaches about $500 every single month. This steady monthly drain places a ceiling on financial momentum, stopping it before it ever truly begins. Over a single year, those $500 blocks stack into a $6,000 loss. Project that habit across a decade, and the raw total reaches $60,000. This is a conservative baseline, assuming zero growth over those 10 years. This figure represents a massive sacrifice of future life options, the ability to pivot careers, handle sudden emergencies, or retire years earlier. Consider the alternative for a moment. Instead of spending, redirecting that exact same monthly amount into a simple, long-term investment account. The balance begins to climb because initial growth acts as an engine, generating secondary growth. Achieving this trajectory requires keeping spending significantly below your earning capacity. People use this unspent gap to fund savings, diverse investments, and long-term goals. They prioritize this gap because financial security provides a level of emotional satisfaction that outward performance cannot match. Physical status purchases like fashion and electronics follow the opposite path, losing their value almost as soon as they are bought. Trend-driven spending has a remarkably short life cycle, where the appeal of an item vanishes the moment a newer version hits the market. This creates a cycle where the brief high of a new purchase quickly fades into dissatisfaction, which then prompts the search for the next upgrade. Trading dollars for temporary feelings traps you in a loop of paying more and more for rewards that disappear faster. Two people start with the exact same income, but reach completely different life outcomes. The first person converts their income into proof of success, visible items signaling status today. The second channels that income into an emergency cushion, building a solid financial foundation. Both had the same resources, but one chose to buy proof of success, while the other chose to buy time. That foundation provides the flexibility to take professional risks, change careers, or leave a job that no longer fits. Having a financial cushion removes the sudden panic from unexpected expenses, replacing it with a sense of removed tension. Living below your means results in a steady drop in daily stress and a corresponding increase in personal freedom. The math makes a clear case for change. To stop the cycle of status spending, we have to address 5 habits. If you are ready to get off the treadmill and start building real breathing room, these are the 5 changes you need to make. Financial theory is remarkably clean, but its application is often surprisingly fragile. You can master the math of interest rates and budgeting, yet find your theoretical security shatters the moment it meets the friction of daily life. Understanding the rules of saving money doesn't automatically protect you from the behavioral traps that exist beneath the surface of your awareness. True wealth builds in the background, but only after you identify and stop 5 specific habits that have become dangerously normalized in our culture. Reaching a point of actual security isn't a matter of simply earning more. It requires finding and neutralizing the systemic drains that pull your income away before it can ever become wealth. The first habit to break is allowing your fixed monthly costs to rise automatically every time your life or your job title changes. It starts small. You get a promotion, so you pay for reserved parking. You move to a nicer area, so you order takeout more often or hire a weekly house cleaner. These begin as conveniences, but they quickly settle into permanent obligations. This chart shows the trap in motion. As your income steps up, your fixed costs expand to fill the gap, leaving your actual savings margin completely flat. You are earning more, but your flexibility remains at 0. When you turn temporary excitement into a monthly bill, you effectively cap your own net worth. You can reach the top of your career and still have no more wealth than when you started. The second habit is measuring your own financial progress against the highly visible, curated purchases of the people around you. You see the coworker's renovated kitchen, the friend's resort photos, or the influencer's perfectly styled morning. These are the only parts of the story they let you see. These hidden trade-offs stay off camera. Beneath the polished image lies a foundation of high-interest debt and 0 savings. Algorithms intensify this, stacking highlight reels until this extreme consumption looks standard. Comparing your life to an algorithmic feed means you are normalizing overspending based on an illusion. You are looking at the lifestyle they are projecting, not the math they are hiding. This leads to the third habit, using consumer debt specifically to protect or project a certain image. This is where costs escalate. It's the weekend trip put on a credit card, the living room furniture bought on installments, or the premium laptop financed because it makes you feel more professional in meetings. Interest and fees silently transform the price tag. The cost of looking successful ends up significantly higher than the actual item's value. You aren't just borrowing, you're paying a premium for appearances, sacrificing future wealth for a temporary social signal. Debt used for optics transforms a one-time expense into an actively growing liability. It consumes your future earnings before you even receive them. The fourth habit is equating a strong paycheck with actual wealth. These are two different metrics. Income is the money that flows in. Wealth is the money that stays. It is possible to earn a high income and still have no financial cushion. If your retention rate is 0, the size of your paycheck is irrelevant to your long-term security. A large paycheck acts as camouflage. It makes a spending problem easier to hide from the world, but it doesn't do anything to solve the underlying instability. Wealth is built in the gap between what you earn and what you spend. If that gap doesn't exist, the income is just a temporary transfer of cash. The fifth habit is the psychological deferment of wealth building to a perpetually moving date in the future. We tell ourselves we'll start after the busy season, after the next vacation, or once things finally settle down. But the moment when life settles down almost never arrives. Time is the most critical asset in financial growth. Every month spent waiting is a month where your money isn't working to protect you. This comparison shows the mathematical penalty of hesitation. The person who starts early benefits from exponential growth, while the person who waits is left with a curve that struggles to gain any momentum. Delaying the start doesn't move the finish line, it shrinks the entire track. It removes the years of compounding that do the heavy lifting for your future self. These habits aren't a sign of weakness. They are the natural response to a culture that measures your value by what you own. But just because a behavior is socially normal doesn't mean it's financially sustainable. Recognizing these cultural defaults is the first step towards stopping the quiet erosion of your net worth. Once you see these drains clearly, you can stop feeding them. By sealing these leaks, you allow your wealth to finally begin accumulating. Next, we are going to look at the specific systems required to build wealth quietly in the background. This transition from spending to retaining can be initiated immediately, starting today. Seeing these 5 habits for what they are is the turning point. Now we shift from observing the drains to executing the mechanics of real wealth. You can start building quiet wealth today, this week, and this month. Here are 7 actionable, zero-cost steps you can take immediately. Step 1. Automate your savings before you ever see the money. Set up an automatic transfer from your checking account to your savings account on the same day your paycheck arrives. Even a small amount matters. The key is that the money moves before you have a chance to spend it. This banking diagram shows a paycheck instantly splitting into 2 paths. If your bank allows you to split your direct deposit, send a portion straight to savings and live on what remains in your checking account. By removing the manual choice to save, you eliminate the behavioral friction that causes most financial plans to fail. Step 2. Write down a rigid personal definition of enough. Grab a piece of paper or open a note on your phone. This interface shows 5 specific categories locking into place to form a spending ceiling. Define what good enough looks like for your housing, your transportation, your technology, your food, and your free time. Base these definitions on your own daily comfort. Avoid writing down what would impress someone else. When you define your enough, your spending is governed by your values rather than someone else's highlight reel. Step 3. Create a default plan for unexpected extra money. This applies to overtime, a bonus, a cash gift, or side income that arrives outside your normal schedule. This flowchart shows an incoming bonus envelope automatically slicing into distinct parts. Decide where the money goes before it arrives. Route the majority into savings or investing while keeping a smaller part for leisure. Making the decision early prevents emotion from dictating the spend. Predefining your limits and windfall rules prevents lifestyle creep from quietly consuming your new income. You have now built a working foundation. Your money moves automatically, your limits are defined, and your windfalls are protected. Step 4. Start tracking your net worth on the first day of every month. Your net worth is the mathematical total of everything you own minus everything you owe. This line graph plots a net worth data point on the first of the month. This acts as an invisible scorecard. Over time, this provides a better way to measure progress than the visible scorecard of cars, houses, and clothing. Step 5. Implement a waiting rule for visible lifestyle upgrades. This interface shows a 72-hour countdown timer blocking a purchase button. If you want an item mainly to signal success, enforce this delay. For larger purchases, wait even longer. Often the urge to buy fades once the initial emotion cools down. Tracking invisible data and enforcing time delays breaks the cycle of buying items for emotional validation. Step 6. Start putting even a small amount into assets that can grow over time. The exact dollar amount is secondary to establishing the habit of ownership. Prioritizing equity over upgrades shifts your mindset toward long-term building. This diagram shows a stack of coins converting into an expanding bar chart. Depending on your situation, a savings buffer, a retirement account, or a simple long-term investment account can all serve as vehicles for this habit. Step 7. Tell one trusted person your real financial goal. Share your actual target number for saving or investing over the next year. This is a specific financial milestone, not a list of things you want to buy. Establishing a single point of external accountability creates a psychological barrier against the temptation to upgrade. Consistently following these 7 steps redirects your capital away from things that lose value and toward things that build your future. This system ensures that your money supports your foundational growth rather than funding visible, depreciating items. People who look modest but possess significant financial freedom prioritize building for themselves. They choose self-sufficiency over the approval of strangers. If this helped you separate looking wealthy from being wealthy, hit the like button. Send this video to someone who feels pressure to upgrade every time life improves, and comment with your personal upgrade trigger. Quiet wealth relies on a private foundation for your future. It provides long-term peace of mind that functions independently of public approval. Subscribe for more, and I will see you in the next one.